We've all had that one friend that always hands the controller back to you like all sticky. The controller's like dripping in sweat and the A button is always stuck for some weird reason. I've often floated around the idea of like Sony and Microsoft coming up with like a controller condom, like you slip it on, you let somebody else use your controller, and then when you get it back, you can just kind of take it off. It's a good idea, right? Maybe not. Maybe I just have way too much time on my hands. But if you ever see anybody come up with something like that, you know where you heard it first. Anyways, all jokes aside, guys, let's get serious for a second here. And I know most of you guys are wondering why it is that I'm talking about video games when this channel is predominantly about action figures. Well, in today's live stream coverage, or I should say like a live stream recap, we're going to be talking about a ton of Gamerverse action figures because that's what Hasbro decided to do. Let me just say that there's so much to dissect, so much to go over. I'm probably going to get dehydrated from the amount of saliva that I'm about to spill out on you guys. Let's get straight into it. Let's not waste any more breath or oxygen. Let's start off with the Spirit Spider, which is, again, based in the video game universe. It's like essentially a skin that you would have in the original Spider-Man video game. It's going to come with a brand new head sculpt. The head sculpt, by the way, looks phenomenal. I love the paintwork on the figure as well. There's kind of like some white fading over some blue, or vice versa. I'm not sure which one is which, but I really love the paint job on this. It's definitely going to stand out in your display, and it does come with 6 hands total, which, by the way, is going to be a pretty consistent theme in today's video. They made an effort to actually start giving Spider-Man action figures the correct amount of hands, and 6 seems to be pretty consistent throughout this live stream or throughout these reveals. I will say, while this action figure or this particular skin for the video game was definitely not my favorite, it's definitely the most intriguing one. The torso is supposed to be all brand new. I'm going to assume that maybe the limbs are reused. They didn't make any mention of that, but just the fact that the torso is brand new, I believe the spider is actually sculpted on and not painted on, which is a really nice touch from Hasbro. As I mentioned, 6 hands total, great head sculpt. Great paint effect all over, and then the new torso. It is worth mentioning the figure will be released in March, so this is definitely one of the more intriguing characters during the live stream. It's something that really caught my eye. As I said, probably not my favorite action figure, but definitely the most interesting one that is going to definitely stand out in anybody's display. The next figure that they decided to showcase was the new Kingpin action figure. In case you guys are wondering about the body mold, they didn't go into too much detail, but I think that they mentioned that it was just a reuse from the Joe Fix-It body mold. So I'm not sure if they're like retooling anything, with the limbs or the actual torso. I'm just going to assume that the body is just a reuse, and then they ported some new head sculpts and then the extra hands on there, and they made a point of emphasizing that the hands were brand new for this action figure. This is a good solid addition if you're really into the Gamerverse. Most of us already have the Build-A-Figure, either the Build-A-Figure Kingpin or the retro carded re-release, which I think just had like alternate color applications to it. So it's just a matter of personal perspective. I think I'm okay with the Kingpins that I have. I may pick this up just for comparison or just to have multiple different Kingpins in my display, but it's definitely an interesting choice. And I will say, if you are a really big fan of the game, of the video game, definitely pick it up. But if you want something more classic, I'm not sure if this is the one that you're going to go with. In the comic books, he's always shown a little bit bigger or slightly bigger than Spider-Man, whereas in this one just kind of towers over most of your Spider-Man action figures. But still, a really cool addition. This is going to be a deluxe price point, I'm sure. As I said, will also be released sometime in March. They didn't give like an exact date. And then just to reiterate, this will be an Amazon exclusive, and Amazon has been kind of hit or miss recently. It appears a lot of like the MCU stuff that's exclusive to Amazon doesn't sell out as quickly, so you're definitely going to have an opportunity to pick this figure up, at least in my personal opinion. And so definitely make sure that you're ready for this figure when it goes up if you're interested in it, because it's definitely one of those marquee villains for the Spider-Man universe. Even if it's not like the classic color tone and it's not common comic book accurate, there will still be a lot of people I think that are very interested in this rendition. Next up, we have the Miles Morales upgraded suit, which looks really cool, neat design. I will say I'm a little bit disappointed with this figure. It does come with like that pinless body. I'm going to assume, and I'm just completely going off of like recent memory, I think this looks like the original Gamerverse Miles Morales, and there are some things that I don't love about it, like that single hinge ab crunch, which is just not acceptable by today's standards. It will come with 6 hands total, which I've already mentioned is something that you're going to see pretty consistently, but this is one of those figures that I was a little bit disappointed with. I think that, you know, Miles Morales definitely feels like it needs a major upgrade, and unfortunately we're not going to get that with this figure. Another point of emphasis is the action figure stand. I'm not sure why they're always throwing this action figure out, or this action figure stand out for the live events, but then we actually never see the stand anywhere. I think they might have featured it like with 2 different figures. The only one that I can think of that I've actually purchased was the Black Widow, the Target exclusive deluxe one from like way back in the day, from like 2020. So I don't really, I can't recall off the top of my head if they've ever included it with any other release, but I don't understand why they throw it out there but then never actually make it available to, you know, their consumer base. I would like to see it more consistently, especially if it's like a deluxe figure, or just like as a standalone, like a 3-pack action figure stand or something like that. Just make it easier to obtain for you know, Marvel Legends fans in general. It seems like we're in this really weird era where nobody wants to include action figure stands with their releases, so it's kind of interesting that they always showcase a stand, but I don't think they ever, you know, give an opportunity for their consumers to pick one up. So it's a little bit disappointing. This figure as a whole, pretty cool, very neat, very interesting, but I am slightly disappointed. They could have done a little bit better with this particular figure, and overall this is one of those that I actually have to hold in my hand, and that's where I'm going to make my ultimate decision. I don't know if I'm going to be necessarily pre-ordering this figure. Now, it is worth mentioning the first 2 figures on today's live stream, or on the live stream earlier today, were both going to be released in March. However, this particular Gamerverse wave is actually set to be released on the 25th. So make sure that you are ready when it comes onto these pre-orders, because some of these figures might actually sell out. So just be wary. At 1 p.m. Eastern time, you're going to pick up, you're going to be able to pick these figures up. I will say though, that was one of the other things that I didn't love about the live stream, is that they all have like different release dates. I'm not sure if that's, I'm trying to remember the last live stream or the live stream before this, but it's kind of difficult to keep track of all the dates. But yeah, just remember the first 2 are going to be released sometime in March. The Gamerverse wave as a whole, that you know, 6 figures are going to be released on the 25th, and then there will be some figures that will be released on the 27th, and we'll get to those eventually. Now, getting to, at least in my personal opinion, the best figure from the live stream, we're looking at this Symbiote suit, Peter Parker Symbiote suit. This one is really interesting. It's supposed to be like all brand new body molds, head to toe brand new. There's a lot of really cool texturing all over it. It's not like that newer sleek design that we've gotten with the retro carded Symbiote suit. This is a brand new body mold. You're going to get the double ab crunch. You're going to get the calf cut. You're going to get the upper thigh cut, the arm cut. You're going to get those beautiful butterfly joints, pinless everywhere. And then you will also be getting that little symbiote like tendril effect shooting out of his hand. That's going to be not only included with this figure, but this is a brand new accessory piece that was made specifically for this action figure, and I just absolutely love how much time and effort they poured it into this figure. Remember when I said that most of these figures were going to come with 6 hands total? Well, that's exactly what you're going to get with this figure. So you're getting a brand new body mold, the texturing, really fine attention to detail. You're getting the new accessory that can be ported on as like a kind of like webbing tendril effect piece, and you're getting 6 hands total. It's absolutely insane, but also brilliant coming from Hasbro's perspective. I will say there were a lot of people complaining about the fact that all of this new retooling and this brand new body mold and this brand new accessory piece was being used for a Gamerverse Spider-Man, and to that I say, what is wrong with you? I just don't understand people's perspective. They want new retooling and new body molds, but then they want to be able to choose which particular character gets it. I believe that's absolute buffoonery. We should appreciate it when they go out of their way to give us brand new body molds from head to toe, brand new accessories and things of that nature. All for I'm going to assume these are all like base price because they didn't talk about price points, but I'm just going to assume that these are the $25 price point. I think that this is an absolute home run. In my personal opinion, this is the best figure of the live stream, and that's saying quite a bit because there are at least two more figures, like really big heavy hitters, that were announced, and that looks absolutely brilliant. But to me, this is just an absolute must-have, and you definitely have to be ready for that pre-order window. They also showed off the Puerto Rican skin for the Miles Morales action figure, which is really cool. It's paying homage to like the heritage or the background of Miles Morales, and it's really cool that they get this in action figure form. However, it doesn't really do too much for me. It looks a little bit out of place, especially the colors around the chest area, but this definitely feels like something that could appeal to a pretty decent fan base. And I will say it's really cool that they continue to give really deep cuts, because some of these skins you could only get if you had to complete certain missions, and so not everybody that's played this game is very familiar with each individual skin. So I just think it's really cool that if they're going to jump in to the Gamerverse, they do it, you know, head on. So you are going to get 6 hands total, which at this point we should be getting from Spider-Man action figures, so there's no need to worry about that. You're getting the double ab crunch, and I will say I love the new cuts that the Spider-Man body molds have. For example, you have that calf cut, you have the upper arm cut, as well as the upper thigh cut, and that really helps with getting your action figures into really dynamic action figure poses. So it's yet another one of these features that I don't want to gloss over. I actually want to bring attention to some of these because I definitely feel like it's a step in the correct direction, and we're starting to see all of the key features, all of the key tech and articulation come together in some of the best body molds that we've ever seen. There's also the anti-Venom Spider-Man skin action figure, and I will say I'm a little bit torn about this. I love the fact that it comes with an extra head sculpt as well as 6 hands total. I love the colors, I love the design, but this appears to be an outdated older body mold, especially considering it only has that single hinge at the ab. So I'm going to assume this is not one of the newer Spider-Man body molds, and I'm not sure why they're doing it like this. You're already going all in on most of these body molds and just this entire wave, and this one kind of sticks out like a sore thumb. So if this is a design or a look that you're interested in, especially if you want the extra head sculpt, that's great. But if you're looking for an action figure that's going to get in some of those crazy poses, this is definitely a figure that you're going to be very frustrated with. And I will say both of the last figures that I mentioned not only come with the 6 hands, and in this case you get the extra head sculpt, but they both come with webbing accessories, which, as I said before, they're kind of starting to put it all together. Before, you would maybe get one action or one Spider-Man legend here or there with a webbing accessory, and then some with maybe 4 hands or 6 hands. But as I said, they're starting to push forward. They're starting to give us more and more with each individual release, and this is a perfect example of that. And then we are receiving yet one more Spider-Man action figure that is all brand new body mold, completely redesigned. And it's also worth mentioning, a lot of the design work on the torso is actually sculpted in rather than painted in, so that's a cool, really nice, cool touch from Hasbro. I'm not sure if they're ever going to be reusing this particular body mold. It seems like it's something that's pretty specific to him. However, the design for this figure does include boots and then a belt and then some kind of like baggy cargo pants, and I guess those could be reutilized for an action figure way down the line. Same thing with the boots, but as I said, completely redesigned. I really love the look. I love the mask slash helmet here. I think that it really is going to stand out on your display. Not only that, you're also getting 2 web effect pieces as well as 6 hands total. And I know most of you guys are thinking this dude is just splitting his cheeks for Hasbro. He's being a complete kiss ass. But guys, this is exactly what we've been asking for years now, to give us, you know, entire waves, or mostly entire waves comprised of brand new body molds, brand new action figures, accessories and engineer and things of that nature. And we're finally getting it. So this is one of those those figures that I appreciate. It's not necessarily like my prototypical version of Miles, and it's not something that I necessarily like need in my display, but it's just really cool to see Hasbro continuing to push the envelope, and this is a perfect example of that. Next up, we are getting a Felicia Hardy, aka Black Cat. And just in case you guys are wondering, yes, this is all brand new sculpt. You're getting the double knees, double elbows, even a double ab section. And yes, in case you guys are wondering, that is an articulated ponytail. There's a cut right at the ponytail, so you can actually like swivel it around in circles. You can get it out of the way. It depends on how you want to articulate this particular figure, but I have to say, I'm definitely blown away. We've been complaining about female body molds, not just from Hasbro, but also from McFarlane, and this just looks absolutely phenomenal in terms of articulation and engineer work. However, some of the poses that I saw this figure in, it made the figure look a little bit weird and wonky. So I'm not sure if that's just me or if it was just the angles of some of the images, but I didn't necessarily love her look in some of the poses. So I'm not sure if this is one of those figures that you have to get into certain angles or you have to get her into certain poses in your display to make her really fit in. But just like I said, some of the images made her look a little bit disproportionate or just a little bit weird. But overall, another character that I'm very excited for. It's nice to see female characters within the Hasbro universe finally getting some updated tech for sure. And then the back of the packaging looks absolutely brilliant as well. You kind of get like a little menu or a player option or a character option display as if you were playing the video game, which is again a nice little neat touch from Hasbro to kind of make it feel like these action figures are coming out directly from the video game. And just to reiterate, this entire Gamerverse wave, except for the first two figures that we talked about, will be available on February the 25th, and they will go up at 1 p.m. Eastern time. So definitely be ready to hit your pre-orders, and they will be made available everywhere where you purchase Marvel Legends action figures. So this isn't like a fan channel exclusive. These will be widely available, and you should have at least a decent window to be able to pick up any of these figures. And then if your nips aren't hard enough, we are getting a new deluxe Marvel Legends Gamerverse Venom. This is supposed to be 10.5-inch articulated toes, double ab crunch, double knees, double elbows, butterfly joints. It's supposed to have a removable jewel piece that goes ported inside the mouth, and then there's supposed to be an extra head sculpt as well with 2 extra hands, and then so 4 hands total. And then there's this like symbiotic effect piece that can be ported onto one of the hands, so technically 5 hands if you count the symbiote effect piece that gets ported in with one of the hands. Now this, it kind of reminds me of that Black Cat action figure. I love all the tech that went into this. This is an absolute must-have, I think, for anybody that, not even if you're necessarily just a Gamerverse fan, but if you just want like a really big hunking Venom action figure, I think this is right up your alley. And the fact that this is 10.5 inches is just brilliant. I will say some of the poses, same thing as with the Black Cat, some of the poses that I saw the figure in, whether it was in the images or on the desk where they were doing the live stream, I don't know, it was a little bit off-putting. It's one of those figures that needs to be placed in the correct pose to really bring out the finer details. And so I'm really hoping that it was just the images or the lighting making it look a little bit weird and disproportionate, but I really like this figure. Like I said, they're applying all of the newer tech to this figure. They're going all out, above and beyond, 10.5 inches articulated toes and everything. Now, what's interesting is going to be the price point. We did get the Marvel Legends Hulkbuster for, what was it, $60. We got the Odin action figure for about $60. I have no problem with figures being expensive as long as the plastic and the engineer work is there, and this is definitely one of those figures. So I'm hoping it's around that $60 price point, or maybe even a little bit less than that. I'm going to assume it's $60 just because that seems to be the price point for these super deluxe figures, but I'm okay with it just because it has a newer tech, it has a newer articulation, as well as it being a big beefy figure. Whereas in like Odin and Hulkbuster, they didn't really have that against him. They didn't need to have like great articulation, or at least decent articulation, because they're just big hulking figures. In this particular case, they're doing both. It's not only a big figure, but then articulates extremely well. So So if you guys are interested in this figure, this will be going up on the 27th, which is a Thursday, same time, 1 p.m. Eastern time. So make sure that you guys are ready to get this figure. And if you guys prefer a comic book accurate Venom action figure with this particular body mold, I would suggest to just kind of wait it out. There's no way they just released this once and don't decide to reuse this somehow. Later, I could see it released with like a different paint job, a different head sculpt, things of that nature, just to make it a little bit more comic book accurate. That is in case you guys want something that's more comic book accurate rather than something that is based in the video games. And then I did, at least in my personal opinion, save the worst for last. And not because I have anything against these particular characters, but we are supposed to be getting a 2-pack with X-23 as well as Warpath. In case you guys are wondering, yes, it's that ugly Omega body mold. Ugly pins, hideous. I can't believe that they decided to go with this. They gave all of the upgraded tech as well as the newer body molds, and I'm talking like brand new body molds from head to toe to the video game Marvel Legends action figures rather than the comic book accurate ones. I'm a little bit torn here. The X-23 also has one of the quote-unquote newer female body molds, but not a brand new one. We got a Black Cat action figure that is, you know, head to toe brand new, but they couldn't do anything with the X-23. Her blades are removable from her boots, and she does come with an extra head sculpt, and also includes 6 hands total, but this is an absolute disappointment. They should have done something unique, something creative, push the envelope with these two characters. The only thing that I can think of is that maybe their comic book accurate action figures don't sell as well, and maybe that's one of the main reasons why they decided to not do anything too crazy with this 2-pack. But there it is. If you guys are interested, it will also be released later in March, and we will get more information on those pre-orders. So there you guys have it. I tend to ramble. I tend to go on these insane ramble sessions, and for that I sincerely apologize. But at the same time, there was an insane amount of different collectibles that we had to cover for today's video. It felt like a super massive live stream reveal session, and I wanted the video to reflect that. So if you guys are interested in this type of rambling content, make sure to stay tuned. Make sure to stick around the channel because we do this pretty consistently. We're up to like 4 to 5 times on a weekly basis, and I'm always trying to ramp up the amount of times that we upload. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. As I said, stay safe out there. Make sure to enjoy the hobby. I know they can definitely be very difficult in trying times, but make sure to take them out, pose them around, and just overall have fun with them. Stay safe out there. I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you.